about ensuring that there is public participation on any PPP project, which wasn't done by Murkomen and the KAA team. And then so Murkomen was trying to bypass all this, and he went directly to the PIP. But if you look at the PPP Act, it recommends the bidding process. It recommends bidding process over any other way of PPP, but they did not want it to go the bidding process. However, there was companies already willing to bid for this listing of Jkia, and companies from Singapore, companies from Qatar. But Murkomen and his people, together with Kositani, they went ahead and picked a company called Adani Group from India. Adani Group from India is one of the most corrupt companies from India. It is so corrupt that there was a company from the US, it's called Hindenburg Research. Hindenburg Research did a research on them, and the revelations were super shocking. If you read these things, I'm just going to read a few of them about Adani Group. So Gautam Adani is Gautam Adani is the owner of Adani Group. So Gautam Adani's brother-in-law, Samir Vora, was accused by the DRI of being a ringleader of the same diamond trading scam and of repeatedly making false statements to regulators. He was subsequently promoted to executive director of the critical Adani Australia division. Gautam Adani's elder brother, Vinod Adani, has been described by media as an elusive figure. He has regularly been found at the center of government's investigations in Adani for his alleged role in managing a network of offshore entities used to facilitate fraud. Our research, which included downloading and cataloging the entire Mauritius corporate registry, has uncovered that Vinod Adani, through several close associates, manages a vast labyrinth of offshore shell entities. We have identified 38 Mauritius shell entities controlled by Vinod Adani or close associates. We have identified entities that are also surreptitiously controlled by Vinod Adani in Cyprus, the UAE, Singapore, and several Caribbean islands. Many of the Vinod Adani associated entities have no obvious signs of operations, including no reported employees, no independent addresses or phone numbers, and no meaningful online presence. Despite this, they have collectively moved billions of dollars into Indian Adani publicly listed and private entities, often without required disclosure of the related party nature of the deals. Okay, let me go back up. The Adani Group has previously been the focus of 4 major government fraud investigations, which have allegedly money laundering, theft of taxpayer funds, and corruption, totaling an estimated US $17 billion. Adani family members allegedly cooperated to create offshore shell entities in tax haven jurisdictions like Mauritius, the UAE, and Caribbean islands, generating forged import-export documentation in an apparent effort to generate fake or illegitimate turnover to siphon money from the listed companies. Key listed Adani companies have also taken on substantial debt, including pledging shares of their. It goes on and on and on. They have over 300 corrupt cases, and at the moment, Adani Group is led by a man called Adani, and he's the 3rd richest man in the world. He is second richest man in India. So corrupt is the man, and the companies that they have been named, they have a scandal called the short selling scandal, and it's the biggest corporate scandal in the world in history. So the reason why I'm reading all this is because This is the company that Murkomen saw fit to lease our Jkia for 30 good years. I was reading the proposal, the PIP proposal, and the reason why, they have to justify why they went with PIP, and yet in the PPP Act, there is 4 different ways you can procure, you can lease and do PPP partnerships. And the reason why they chose PIP is very lame. They say in this document that the reason they choose PIP is because if they do bidding, it will take 18 months. And in addition, after they have submitted the bidders, it will take an additional 4 to 6 months to go through and peruse through the bidding, the proposals, and then identify one person or one company to do this project and to lease out Jkia for the next 30 years. So the reason behind PIP is very lame and does not qualify why they chose it. And then number 2, they did not do public participation. It's hidden. Everything is shredded in secrecy. Everything is being done in hush tones, and no one knows anything about this deal up to today. And my sources say that in about a month, this deal is going to be inked, and it will become, as you know, in Tanzania, they are already operating their ports. So they are hoping that even in Kenya, they will quietly enter and sign the deal without Kenyans knowing what's happening to the most precious international airport, Jkia, and we know Jkia is one of the busiest airports in Africa. And to make it even worse, Jkia in their report does not make losses. It actually makes profit. And they have actually said that Jkia is they are underpricing their services. If you compare it with Addis Ababa is about 50 to 60% more expensive for carriers to run their operations in Addis Ababa, to land, all these landing fees. If you compare with Jkia, and they propose that they will double the prices in Kenya. If you double the prices of Jkia alone, last year they made about 13 million US dollars in terms of profit, and about 90 million US dollars in terms of revenues. So if you double, it means Jkia will be going towards 160 million in terms of revenues and about 26 million in terms of profits after you've deducted all the operations and everything. So this alone shows you that Jkia is not Haijalemewa. It can still operate by itself, and we can still go on and do all these projects that we want to do, minus this very super corrupt company that Murkomen wants to impose on us without public participation and without a bidding process where other people who are more qualified and who are, don't have integrity issues were ready to bid, but they were shortchanged by these corrupt people surrounding the deal. And they don't want people to know this. This is why we have to speak out about this. And then another point is that, so they use an SPV model, which means that they will create a company in Kenya which will be running the operations, and then they went ahead and said they will create a consortium, a holding company, and a consortium means it's a few companies together, and a holding company means that their only work is to combine. So, like, for example, I used to work for a company that is a multinational. So a multinational normally has a corporate head office, and the corporate head office is only a holding company that just consolidates the income only. There is nothing else they're doing. They don't do business. They don't run anything. They just consolidate their subsidiaries. So they've created a holding company in UAE. UAE, as you've heard from the report, is a tax haven. This is how people evade tax. This is how people want to do the double Dutch sandwich. This is how people want to, like Murkomen, if they want to have the shares in companies, they will take it to the tax haven. And then from there, you cannot trace this money. So we are asking, why are they doing this kind of corporate structure where they have to go through a tax haven like Dubai? Why can't they just operate as Adani from India directly to Kenya? And if you go through Dubai, it means that they are able to do something called transfer pricing. And this is how even European companies are stealing from Congo, from Botswana, from so many other different African countries. They steal from these countries through transfer pricing. So how it happens, if, for example, Adani says they have a patent, intellectual patent, or whatever patent they have, they will come and say that Adani is charging the Kenyan SPV for such and such a patent. So the income that we make as Jkia in Kenya will be deducted. You know the way EBITDA works, they will deduct the patent as a cost. So by the time it reaches where we have to deduct tax, they have already deducted fake costs in terms of transfer pricing. And this is why they are doing this thing of we have to have a company in the UAE and then another company and another company. And if it spans towards different jurisdictions, it's harder for us to track our money. And so this is, yes, Amerix.
Yes. I want to interrupt you a bit. Francis has been saying a lot about JKIA and how JKIA has been limping, but we can hear from here that there is profit. Francis, what is your comment on this? Because Nelson says JKIA makes a lot of, or KAA makes a lot of profit. I heard there, he said something like 13 million. Yet we are being told every time that it makes losses.
No.
Francis?
I think I was never about, I was mostly about Kenya Airways. I was mostly about the leases that were embarked on. In fact, the other day, somebody told me, I had a whistleblower telling me that there were two companies which were incorporated in the Cayman Islands and whatnot. One was, I think, called Kifaru and another one called... I'll remember the names shortly. But they bought some Embraer. Embraer is an airplane brand from Brazil, and they all of them are denoted with the code name FF, which was Fast Family, which are owned by Uhuru Kenyatta. And so Kenya Airways was compelled to pay those outlandish leases on behalf of Kenya Airways to aeroplanes owned by the Kenyatta family, those code names are denoted with FF, which was the Embraer model. And so when Ruto came in, don't forget that when we are talking about odious debt, connect to Kenya Airways, because it's been one of the vessels which has been used to siphon taxpayers' money into private accounts. So when Ruto came in, where he was supposed to resolve those issues, then some of his cronies have gotten also other flights, so that we can continue funding Kenya Airways from taxpayers' money. We can continue giving them money under the guise of bailing out. And we've given them, first of all, don't forget, when it was being privatized in the 90s, we were told that by privatization, it will be self-sufficient, it will be profitable. And they came up with all these cock and bull stories just to sell the privatization agenda when I was talking about Philip Ndegwa and whatnot. But if you look at the amount of money we have spent post-privatization, it is close to 100 billion Kenya shillings. Now, that money because, first of all, I was talking about somebody, the CEO at the time was Titus Naikuni. Titus Naikuni, first of all, he belongs to committee prison. I don't understand why Titus Naikuni, if we are giving the same treatment to Farah Malim, he goes to Sarova, and he's told he cannot stay there because of his toxic utterances, then Titus Naikuni should not be allowed to eat or drink anywhere, just like we want to do with Devin D because of his toxicity, defending war crimes. We should not be allowing these people to live amongst us. So Titus Naikuni, then came somebody called Bovin Gunza. now the chairmanship was Michael Joseph. Michael Joseph is a crook from South Africa. I don't know how he ended up here. I don't know how he was at one time the chairman of Safaricom and KQ and almost all the well-performing blue chip companies. But if you look, there is always a paper trail of corruption. Then Jeremy Mbuvungunze was the CEO of Kenya Airways when they were being bailed out with billions of shillings of our taxpayers' money to pay for for leases or for aircraft owned by the Kenyatta family. And his brother, you can't make this stuff up, I kid you not. His brother, called Jeremy Ngunze, was the CEO of CBA Kenya chapter. So here we have two brothers working for the same criminal outfit, which is called the Kenyatta Family Criminal Enterprise, siphoning taxpayers' money, because now CBA is also amongst other banks which have profited from anti-competitive practices. They have been involved in intellectual property theft. They have been involved also in the debt issue. They appear in the debt register of the banks. I know we have spoken about Equity Bank. We have spoken about KCB. We have spoken about Coop Bank as the lead banks which have funded and fueled the government's appetite for debt. If you go there, you just want a $1 million shilling overdraft. They will make you jump through hoops so that you can just access an OD of just $1 million shillings. But they give government carte blanche. They give them billions of shillings every year under the guise of domestic debt, because it's, as you heard, it's a Ponzi scheme. Yes. James Mwangi has become a dollar billionaire in this republic from buying bonds, from domestic debt, yes, mopping up capital from the commercial market. We cannot get credit. Our biggest weakness is lack of credit when we are doing enterprise, and it's because all the money is going to government, because they have seen it is lucrative to loan to government, and then they can be able to sort themselves out there with their own commissions and whatnot. So Kenya airports, whether it makes profit or not, first of all, don't forget that they terminated the Greenfield terminal, which was supposed to expand our capacity to make us a competitive hub in the region. Ethiopia has taken over us. First of all, they have more aircraft. In Kenya, we invested in these small planes called Embraer. Those Embraers, they are being taken to the key routes. They don't have good facilities if it's the business class, if it's the first class. And so we are underwriting the delusions, and we are underwriting the poor financial decisions of Kenya Airways based on our taxes. So as we take on the audit of the odious debt, we must also audit all the poor financial decisions that have been undertaken by the subsequent governments and individuals with a view, with an objective of securing our money. We have to convert whatever private assets that they have taken from our country. We have to secure them. They have to be returned to the state. They don't have to be regrabbed by other people. They have to be regrabbed. Everything, even the MPs who have stolen CDF money, we have to now repossess that so that it goes into the to the state, because these were crimes which were committed, and we have to catch up with time that they have stolen from us. Thank you very much, Amerix.
Thank you. All right, Nelson, that was just a kicker on what you were saying. Maybe you can tell us in a few minutes, 2 minutes or 3, before we give Mercy Tarus and the rest. I can see Soko analyst here and the others. What can we do as a nation? You know, we talk too much, but in your opinion, because you are the professional here, what can we do? The lawyers are here to guide us on the legal journey. They can tell us what to do, but what are you going to do? Or what do you propose we do as a nation to ensure that such kind of heist and the people behind it are put in jail?
Thank you, Amerix. Can I just finish the 3-4 points I had, and then I can talk about what we should do?
In the interest of time, you have 3 minutes.
Okay. So I just wanted to also say that in this deal and proposal, they're trying to propose the government to concessions, and one of the concessions they want is that they want to operate in Kenya tax-free. They haven't mentioned the number of years. They just say they want to operate without paying corporate income tax for some years. And also, I don't know if this is standard in deals, but they're saying after the deal is over in 30 years, Jkia will have to pay for the capex, and also they will have to pay them for the capex, the money they used for the capex, which is 1.5 billion US dollars. And in my view, this 1.5 billion US dollars is the same amount of money we saw the Eurobond theft, the money that never arrived in Kenya. So it means that we are able to even finance this project on our own if we can take back the money that has been stolen. And they're also saying that after the 30 years is over, it's not over because they are asking for 18% equity in JKIA forever. So this means that basically they will own us forever, 18%. And this is totally unacceptable. And mind you, this company is the least performing company in India in terms of airport operations. And their biggest project is called Navi Mumbai. It's their only biggest project that you can compare to JKIA. The rest you cannot, they're too small. And even this Navi Mumbai is going to be finished in 2032. So we are entrusting people who have not even done a project of this magnitude in any of their projects to do it in Kenya. Like we are being used as scapegoats. So, and your question, Amerix, about what we need to do is it's very simple. We need to make a lot of noise, and also we need to start preparing to take over these positions. We cannot just be in the outside and every day, we keep complaining about bad governance. We need to be the leaders we want to see. We need to go into those leadership positions. You have seen in the UK, they were inaugurating very young Gen Z leaders into the House of Commons. So this needs to happen also in Kenya. But at the moment, we need to increase the pressure. We need to occupy JKIA. We need to occupy all those offices until these things stop happening. This is how revolutions happened in the past. I've spoken so much about the French Revolution. It was the young people who went and demanded, their rights and demanded for what was right. And it happened. It's not easy. It can take a lot of time. It can take shorter time. But if we keep pushing, it will happen. And also, I have spoken about critical junctures. How in history, when a revolution happens, you have two choices. You can either go the side of whatever people are talking about, like Sudan and the rest, or you can go the path of prosperity. And this is what happened in France. This is what happened in England during the Glorious Revolution. This is what happened in the US. This is what happened in many other prosperous nations. They were at this critical juncture, a revolution moment, and they chose to go the right direction. So this is the moment that we as the young people, we need to choose which direction to take our country, to either reclaim it and go and become prosperous and to say no to all these things that are happening now, or to turn our eye and lose the revolution and everything that Jimmy Wanjigi has just spoken about to continue. So the choice is ours, but everything is laid bare on us. And there is a saying, as I finish, that I quoted in one of the spaces. It says, in every generation, we have our mission. So every generation has a mission, and it's upon us either to fulfill the mission or to betray the mission. So it's upon us today as the young people to either fulfill our mission of economic liberation and independence in Kenya or to betray it.
Thank you very much, Nelson, for that in-depth. There was only one person who had a remaining issue, I think because of network. I'll give them a minute or two. Mercy Tarus. Mercy Tarus? Yeah, go on. Just